Hey guys, welcome to today's lesson. I hope you're well. Today we are focusing on income. Now, when we're getting older, we're starting to getting part-time jobs and all those sorts of things, and it can be important to us to know a little bit about income. And of course, we like money, so we want to know more about it. So we're going to look at some key definitions. We'll go through some examples, and then we'll get off and do some book work. So first of all, what's a wage? Our two main types of income that we will look at, one will be a wage and one will be a salary, and knowing the difference between them is quite significant. Obviously, an income is money that we get paid from someone for working. That money can be paid via a wage, which is based on an hourly rate. So you might be getting $20 an hour or $30 an hour, and depending on how many hours you work, obviously the more hours, the more money you'll get. It's a fixed rate usually. Okay, some good things and some bad things, of course. Some good things are, I guess, that the more hours you work, the more you get paid. The problem, I guess, then on the flip side of things is if you don't work, you don't get paid. So there's always some pros and some cons. Now, the more you work, the more you get paid, but sometimes you have these, what we call normal hours, right? And you might be working from 9 till 5 normal hours, but if you work past that, we get what is called overtime. So it's where we work out hours outside of our normal hours or our normal time. Often you'll find weekends are outside of your normal hours. So if you work on a Sunday, you might get paid at a higher rate. You might work on a public holiday, you get paid a higher rate. So you have your normal hours. Let's say your normal pay is maybe $20 an hour. You might get time and a half, which means that's 1.5 times at normal rate. So 1.5 times $20 will be $30. So we're getting an extra $10 per hour that we work. You might get paid double time. So if I get paid $20 an hour for my normal hours, I now get paid $40. I always tell a story that when I worked the millennium, so that was the New Year's Eve of 1999, I got paid 20 times the normal rate because no one wanted to work. Which is very unusual and probably won't happen again. But certainly you can be paid time and a half, double time, triple time. We just got to work out what our normal rate is, and then we times by whatever we need. So obviously a big pro for a wage is if you work overtime, you get paid a lot more money. Then we look at a salary, and a salary is a fixed amount, but instead of being based on an hourly amount, this is based on an annual or a yearly. So basically you get told, I'm going to earn $100,000 this year. So it doesn't matter how many hours I work. If I work lots of hours or not lots of hours, I'm still going to pay my $100,000. Now that $100,000 might be divvied up over, it might be per week, you might get paid, or maybe per fortnight, or maybe even per month. Usually fortnightly and months are the two common areas for people who get paid salary. So I get paid a salary, I get paid per fortnight. Obviously some pros and cons. Well, a big pro, of course, is it doesn't matter if I go home early, I still get paid the same amount. I might be sick or I might take a day off, I still get paid. The downside of it is I could work, 17, 18 hours in a day. I'm getting paid the same as if I worked 5 hours. So that's the hard part. And a lot of time that, I'm in quite early at school of a morning, I don't get paid any extra money for that. It's just the way it is. So there are some incentives, but of course, as I said, if I have a day off, I still get paid. And those people who get paid a wage don't. So we always have pros and cons for what we're looking at. I put a time period down there just so you're recognizing that 1 year is 12 months, which is 52 weeks, 26 fortnights, which a fortnight, of course, is 2 weeks, and then 365 days. So we're going to get lots of questions about, you might get paid $100,000 in a year. What's that per fortnight? So we divide it by 26. What's that per week? We divide it by 52. What's that per month? We divide it by 12. So time periods are really significant. Now in the financial world, it's more accurately like 52.18, I think it is. But in mathematics, we're using 52 weeks as a year. Okay. Commission is the third type there that's important for us to look at. So we have our salary and we have our wage, but we can have a commission. Now, basically, if you're a car salesman, for example, and you sell heaps and heaps of cars, well, it's sort of saying you should be earning a lot more money, right? If you only sell one car, well, have you really been working hard? Okay, so we get paid a commission, and that is basically a percentage based on the sales that you make. So you might make, this week you sell 10 cars, each car's worth $10,000. You've sold $100,000 worth of cars, and your contract may say you get 5% of all sales that you make. So you get 5% of that $100,000. Now, of course, the incentives there are, if I'm making 5% of all sales, then I want to sell as much as I possibly can. And that's where, that's a real good incentive there to work harder. The problem is, what if you sell nothing? If you have a really bad week and no one comes in to buy any cars, what happens? Well, what's 5% of $0? It's $0, so you don't get any money. So that's the real big negative. What you can get paid on top of your commission, of course, is what we refer to as a retainer. And that's a flat amount of money, or a fixed amount of money that you might get paid whether you're getting paid fortnightly or monthly. So you might be told, okay, you get 5% of all sales plus $200 a fortnight of retainer. So it means that if I don't have a great week and I don't sell any cars, well, I still get that retainer, so I'm taking at least something home. So again, that's a bit of a bonus for me if I don't sell stuff, but of course, I'm not going to be doing too well on $200 a fortnight. So we want to sell more. That's commission. Piecework. Not too many people get paid to piecework. Piecework is more, I guess, if you work in a factory perhaps, and basically it's an amount per item that you produce. So let's say you're at a factory and you're making boxes, right? You might get 10 cents for every box you make. So you make 1,000 boxes, you get 1,000 times 10 cents. I make 2 boxes, I get 2 times 10 cents. So of course, incentives are to make more things. So you might be paid an hourly wage, right? And you're working at a factory. I might just take really, really long to get all these boxes done. And so my hours are accruing. Problem is, I might not be doing much. I might not be actually putting many boxes together. So that's not really great for the employer. So we might say, okay, you're getting now paid per box. So obviously I could take 10 hours, but if I've only done 100 boxes in that 10 hours, as opposed from 100 boxes in 1 hour, I'm still getting paid the same amount. So it's kind of, the incentive there is that the more you make, the more money you make as well, the more boxes you create. And you can do it really quickly. Works kind of well. So there are 4 types of income. So again, just as a recap, we have a wage, which is based on an hourly rate, a salary, which is based on an annual amount. We then have a commission, which is a percentage of sales, and we have piecework, which is money per item. Okay, and I thought I'd throw in the end there, taxation. We should know a little bit about tax, and basically tax is a portion of our income that's been removed from the government. It gets paid to the government to pay for things like garbage trucks. Okay, it might be someone who's going to come and clean up our park. Someone's going to come and fix up the road outside your house or on the main highway. Someone's going to come and pick up rubbish alongside the road. That's not someone like, it's not someone's job. You're not paying them personally, but we pay the government through tax, and then the government will then pay those people. Who's paying for police? Who's paying for, ambulance, let's say, for example. Those sort of public services are what we're paying for throughout our taxation. And generally speaking, your tax is kind of worked out or calculated off the amount of money that you make. Now, I think the money at the moment is like $18,200. If you earn less than $18,200, or might even be $20,000 now, let's say $20,000 because it's nice and easy. If you earn less than 20 grand, you don't get taxed, right? Because you can't really afford to pay much. But you might get paid, you might be earning $50,000. And so they might say, okay, we're going to work out at approximately maybe 18% of that money is going to go towards tax. You might earn $100,000 and you go into the next tax bracket, and you now have to pay 25% of your pay goes into tax. You might be earning $3 million and being a really lucky person. You might get taxed 50%. Okay, so the more money you make, kind of the more money you have to kind of pay in tax. I know that sounds a little bit unfair, but certainly as a percentage of what you earn, it becomes pretty fair. And of course, we'll do a lesson on taxation because there are lots of things to talk about with tax. But for us, we just need to know that taxation is a small amount of your money. Well, let's say about a third, about 30% of your money gets taken out, and that gets paid for public services. The rest of it goes into your pocket, and we'll talk about gross income, which is what you get paid, but then net income is what you actually take home. It's what you take the tax out and you have that net income left. But we'll talk about that more next lesson. So for us today, we're more looking at the types of income. So 4 types: wage, salary, our commission, and then our piecework. All right, let's get into some questions. Now, these are the questions I'm going to be looking at today. I know I'm around 9 minutes. We're going to go for about another 10 minutes and see how we go. Feel free here to pause and have a crack at all these questions in your book, and then you can kind of fast forward and make sure that my answers match your answers, and then you're good to go. Okay, so let's go for the first one. Kenneth earns an annual salary of $59,735. He works 38 hours in a week. His wife, Brooke, works part-time in retail, and she earns $21.60. In retail means she works like at a Myers or a Grace Brothers or a store, a clothes store, a shoe store, like Hype or something, right? So first of all, part A says to calculate how much Ken earns per week. Well, he earns $59,735. That's in over an entire year. We want to work out what it is per week. So there are 52 weeks in a year, so we're going to divide that by 52. When I do that, we end up with an answer of $1,148.75. It's really important with anything you do with money, you always round to 2 decimal places unless otherwise stated. I know in this case we can pay 75 cents. I know if we were 72, you can't pay 72 cents, but certainly you can be billed that. Okay, put it on your credit card. So we have to do 2DP unless otherwise stated. Don't round to the nearest 5 or the nearest 10. They'll mark you wrong. Part B, determine who has the higher rate of pay or hourly rate of pay. Okay, so at the moment we've got Ken. So let's write down Ken. He gets 1148.75. That's per week, I think we said. Now he works 38 hours per week, so we're going to divide that by 38 because we want to find out what he gets for just 1 hour. So I divide that by 38, and what we end up getting for Kenneth, we get $30.23. That's per hour. Okay. Now that we then go to his wife Brooke, and she gets $21. So we're going to write down Brooke. She gets $21.60. Therefore, Ken, okay, has the higher rate of pay. And that's a perfect question that I've answered. I've got both amounts. I'm now comparing them. I then sum up with a nice little answer. Okay, part C. Let's have a crack at this one. If Brooke works an average at 18 hours per week, what is her yearly income? Well, she gets $21 and what we say, 60 cents. $21.60. I'm just going to change that up there because that looks a bit weird. I'm going to times that by her 18 hours that she's working per week. That gets a weekly pay. I'm then going to times that amount by 52 because that then turns the weeks into a yearly amount. You can do it separately if you want, or you can do it all in one hit. So I'm going to do it all in one hit, and let's see what we get for part C. We get $20,404.80. Okay. All right, so we can see there we've times by 18 to get that weekly amount. We times by 52 to get the annual amount or the yearly amount, and she gets $20,404.80. Okay, and then part D, Ken takes a 4-week holiday. Okay, that's generally what we get in the workforce, 4 weeks of holidays on normal pay. Plus he gets leave loading. Now what leave loading means, it's like a bonus amount we get during the holidays. So let's say I take holidays off. You know, we're probably not staying at home when we take holidays off. We're probably going out somewhere. We're going out to dinner. Might be taking the family out. We're spending probably more money than we would normally. So what your workplace does, they give you a bit of a bonus. Now that little bit of bonus is usually 17.5%. Now in this particular instance, it's not saying 17.5%. Usually we state it, but actually it's a given fact. If you see leave loading or holiday loading, it's always 17.5% based on 4 weeks of pay. So what we're going to do here for part D, we're going to figure out what Ken gets for 4 weeks. Okay, now we know what he gets currently for 1 week. We changed his week before. That's our first question, I think it was, that 1148.75. The problem is I've rounded that earlier question. I don't want to do that. I want to have the whole number. So I'm going to start from scratch. So I'm going to say 59,735. I'm going to divide that by 52. That gets the weekly pay. But I'm now going to times that by 4. That gets me 4 weeks of pay. Okay, so if I'm going to do all that, I'm hoping this is going to be a bit accurate. Now, actually, I might do it on the calculator myself. So $59,735. I'm going to divide that by 52. Again, that makes it into a weekly amount. I'm going to times it by 4 to get into 4 weeks. And I get an answer of $4,595. That's 4 weeks of pay. Now, I'm going to times that by 17.5%. Okay, so times that by 17.5%, and I get a total of $804 and let's say 13 cents. Now, that part there is my bonus. That's the leave loading. That's the extra pay that we're getting. We get that on top of the 4 weeks of pay. So I'm going to add that onto the 4,595. And the total amount there, I'm going to add on my calculator, 4,595. And my total amount should be $5,399.13. Now, for those who are in 5.3, you may have done the automatic multiplier. So you're increasing by 7.5%. So you might have times it by 1.175 or 117.5%. And that would automatically increase it. But for those doing the other courses, and most likely most of you would probably find the leave loading and then plus it on to the original amount. Now that one I'm going to put an asterisk because it's a slightly harder question. But again, when you see leave loading, that means a little bit of a bonus on top of your 4 weeks of normal pay. So a little bit extra. It's not a huge amount, but it's something that we can take away and maybe go to dinner for. Okay, I'm going to try and hit through these 2 questions fairly fast. I know this is going to be a long lesson. I apologize, but income, we can't cut corners with it. So example 2, let's have a quick look at it. Georgie works some weekends and late nights in addition to normal working hours and has overtime pay arranged with her employer. So she has normal hours, but if she works late nights, she gets this overtime, this extra pay or extra rate. So part A says, calculate how much Georgie earns if she works 16 hours during the week at normal time. So I'm going to do this first. So 16, now she has a normal hourly rate of $18.50. So she works 16 hours of normal time. So I'm going to do that together. I'm going to put that in my calculator. So I'm going to put in 16 there times $18.50. So that's the pay she's going to get for the normal time. And we get a total of $296. So I'm going to put there, you don't need to do this, but I'm going to put there normal pay or normal hours. She then, as we can see, it says she works 6 hours on the weekend, but she gets time and a half. So we're going to do 6 hours at $18.50, but she gets paid time and a half. So I'm going to times that by 1.5 because it means I'm getting an extra half on top of what I would normally do. So I'm going to now type that in. I've got my 6 hours times my rate of $18.50. Okay, I'm going to times that by 1.5. Now, if it was double time, you times it by 2, triple time, times it by 3, etc. Now, we get $166.50. So obviously, if I'm looking for the total amount, all I'm now going to do, I'm going to add those two together. I'm going to plus on the 296 from the first question, and we get a total of $462.50. Perfect. Now for the 5.2, gents, that's probably going to be the cream of the crop question for you, and you'll certainly see it a fair bit. The 5.3, guys, there are some slightly harder questions that you might get, and let's see what the next question says. Georgie's hourly rate is changed. Okay, in a week she works 9 hours at the normal rate. So a couple of ways that we can do this. So what you've got there, I've worked 9 normal hours times my rate. 4 times an hour and a half. So we're getting time and a half times 4. Now this is a 5.3 question, by the way, so 5.2, don't be too concerned by this. But I'm getting paid for 6 hours. I might only be working 4 hours, but I'm being paid as if I work 6. And likewise, the end there, I'm getting double time for 5 hours, which means although I'm only working 5 hours, I'm being paid for 10 hours. Now, if I add these together, 9 plus 6 is 15 plus 10 is 25. Okay, we know that we have 25 times the rate, all right? And that answer equals $507.50. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to divide the left hand and the right hand by the 25, because I've worked out that although I may have only worked for, well, how many hours have I worked for? 9, 4, 13, 18 hours. I'm being paid as if I worked 25. So I'm going to do 507.50 divided by 25. I'm going to do it with my calculator here. We get $20.30. Oops, jumping around a little bit, and 30 cents. Okay, so that last one, guys, I'm going to say this is a 5.3 question. So 5.2, don't worry too much about that. That's pretty much it. Okay, so they're the two most common types of questions. We may throw in question 3. I know we're at 22 minutes. I'm going to try this within 3 minutes. I apologize. It's a bit long, but it's necessary. Okay, so let's look at example 3 now. A saleswoman is paid a retainer of $1,500 per month. Okay, so remember, a retainer means a flat fee. So if she sells nothing left in the month, she's still going to get $1,500. Not a bad deal, right? But we want to get a bit more money. So we are also being paid a commission of 1.25% of all sales. So throughout this month, we're told that she sells goods worth $5,600. So we're going to say she gets the retainer of $1,500 plus she gets 1.25% or 0.0125 as a decimal. We're going to times that by the $5,600. And it says calculate her total earnings for that month. Well, on my calculator, I'm going to do 0.0125 or 1.25%. I'm going to times it by $5,600. We're going to get $1,500, that's the retainer, and what she actually gets, she earns $70, okay, from the commission. So not a great month really, but she earns a total of $1,570. Okay, and that's her total amount. So as I said, not a great amount there, but certainly better than nothing, right? Part B says David is paid for picking fruit. He is paid $35 for every bin that he fills. Last week, he worked 8 hours per day for 6 days and filled 20 bins. Calculate his hourly rate of pay. Now, this is piecework, right? Because he's getting paid per piece, per bin that he's filling. So he gets paid $35 per bin, and we're told over the course of the time, he fills 20 bins. So I'm going to whack my calculator and say $35 times 20. We get paid $700 in total. So that's his total amount that he earns over the course of that week. Now it says that last week he worked 8 hours per day for 6 days. Well, that means he worked 8 hours times 6, so 8 sixes are 48 hours. So he worked a total of 48 hours in which he got paid the $700. So to find out his hourly pay, we can divide those together. So his total pay, which is $700, divided by the 48 hours that he worked, and we get a total amount of $14.58. Now, I know he's not being paid an hourly rate. I understand that, but we may want to see and compare his kind of earnings with someone else. And if we convert it to an hourly rate, that can be quite useful to compare. So yes, he's getting paid piecework, he's being paid per bin that he fills, but we've calculated and said, hey, that's the same as earning $14.58 per hour, so we can kind of ballpark how much he's getting on average. Okay, gents, that is 3 big questions. For 5.2, some of that may have been a bit hard. You want to focus on the hourly, the time and a half and the double time stuff, but certainly go through your individual exercise that I've set and hopefully have a bit of a crack. Otherwise, I'll have a great day and I'll speak to you soon.